Oh, well, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. I trust that you are well this Monday morning. It is the 31st of October, excuse me, the 31st of October, and it is 10:30 here on the East Coast. I need some powder. My nose is super shiny. I feel like Rudolph. Santa. And In any case, squirrel. It's about 78 degrees out already, so it's going to be a warm day in West Central Florida. It's fine. It's fine. It is what my friend OMG Wicks on Twitter calls summer junior. We had our winter. It was 3 days. It was pleasant. Now it's time to get on with the year. Now it's time to get on with that holiday shopping out there in the heat. That's how we do it in West Central Florida. I trust that everyone is well. It was a great football weekend for us. Started off crappy on Thursday. The Buccaneers lost. Hate it when the Buccaneers lose, but I love it when the Florida State Seminoles win. They beat Georgia Tech 41-16, and I like it even more when the Florida Gators lose. They got waxed by the University of Georgia in the world's largest cocktail party. Golly, and the presidents of the university hate when you call it that. So call it that all the time. And if you've ever been, and you've ever been to one, then you know that probably changed from the world's largest cocktail party to the world's largest beer bash. That's probably more correct. But Florida loses. I don't remember if Miami lost or not. I don't know. I don't care. But This weekend is the Florida State Miami game. Miami's not very good, so Florida State has a chance to win. I think Florida State is 5-4. Miami is like 3-5 or something like that. So there's a chance. Hope's a dangerous thing. So we'll see what happens. Neither of these teams, none of these teams I'm talking about are vying for a national championship or even a conference championship. But all right. Sorry. College football and pro football are my distractions. I do not insert politics into my football. I don't. I don't put liquor in my coffee, and I do not insert politics in my football. Um, so when who did I see yesterday? Quarterback had Black Lives Matter on the back of his helmet. I saw it. I don't care. His helmet. He has to wear it. The team said it's okay. I think it's nonsensical. Um, he could have had. I'm a Disney princess back here. I don't really care because apparently he doesn't really understand um, about the organization, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to insert that politics into my football. Even if they try to put it in there, I'm just going to scrape it right off. You know, it's like, oh, they put margarine on my toast, and before I let it melt, just put it right off there. So there's a little bit of it, but I'm gonna choke it down. Anyway, again, my name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Elon Musk and Twitter, and we're going to talk about Ted Cruz tweeting that to abolish the IRS. Abolish the IRS. Abolish the IRS. Yes, because no, we will not comply. T-shirt, yes, you can get this from go to the fightbackmedia.com website. It is in salute of the non-compliance movie put together by my friend Chris Ann Hall and her husband. Yeah, no, we will not comply. And people ask, comply on what? Tell them. No, we will not comply with forced anything. No. Just, just like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. Anyway, we'll be back right after these messages. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet. And you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices. And you'd be right. They most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the program. Again, my name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. As you already know, Elon Musk, the CEO and the owner and the founder of Tesla, our space and SpaceX, has purchased Twitter, much to the chagrin of a lot of leftists and Democrats. And one of the first things he did was fire some of the people at the very top, which is what I don't think a lot of people realize this, but this happens a lot when companies get bought and new leadership comes in. New leadership comes in, especially top leadership. Those are the people who are most in danger. The more you have to do with the direction of the company, the more that you are exposed to getting the boot when the new ownership comes in. For instance, I work for a theme park. If this theme park gets bought by another entity, the chances of me losing my job because of it are very, very small. I am so far away. I mean, so incredibly far away from um, being able to decide the direction of the company, that I have no threat to whatever the new change is, zero. So new ownership, if new ownership came in tomorrow, I'm pretty confident about holding on to my job. Now, if I'm president of the park, I'm not so confident. If I am one of the unit managers, I'm not so confident. But you hear me. But the further you go down, you know the receptionist at the Twitter desk is not afraid that they will lose their job. They're not. Phone rings. Twitter. How may I help you? That person keeps their job. The person who decides to knock off a sitting president off the platform, that person probably loses their job, and they do. But anyway, Elon Musk has confirmed that Twitter will revise its user verification process. Twitter will be revising how it verifies users on the social media platform. You know, the little check. Billionaire businessman Elon Musk confirmed yesterday. Musk wrote on Twitter that the whole verification process is being revamped right now. He didn't provide any further details, so we're following that. His post came in response to a question from a spaceflight photographer, John Krause, who had asked for help in verifying his account on the platform after being denied some 4 or 5 times, despite having a large following and working to share spaceflight and rocket launches to the masses via my photography. Now, you know that that's going to catch Elon Musk's SpaceX attention, right? Published in a plethora of huge outlets, but Twitter doesn't seem to care, Krause wrote. Musk's confirmation regarding changes to Twitter's verification process where accounts are authentic, notable, and active will no doubt bring welcome relief to many users on the platform, given its current difficulty and awfully confusing verification system. I think his verification system was if they liked you at the time, then you got verified. I remember when they started it, it was like, oh, don't even call us to ask us. Don't even try to email us. We'll make that decision. And that was a long time ago. Under that system, users must upload identification to Twitter and prove the account either represents or is associated with a prominently recognized individual or brand. Okay. The account must also be, quote, active with a record of adherence to the Twitter rules, according to Twitter, and must not have had a 12-hour or a 7-day lockout for violating Twitter rules in the past 12 months, which excludes successful appeals against the lockouts. Changes initiated. The request for verification is then considered by Twitter, and if denied, results in a simple message from Twitter that does not provide details as to why. They just say no. Verification has been denied. Musk officially acquired Twitter last week and has already initiated changes to the platform, including ensuring that logged out users who are visiting the platform's homepage are directed to the platform's Explore page, according to The Verge. Previously, individuals visiting the platform while logged out were met with a sign-in or a login form. So now there'll be a lot of people cruising Twitter, but not logged into Twitter, which is probably a good idea. Elsewhere, on Sunday, Musk addressed a recent report by the New York Times that the businessman planned to lay off some Twitter employees ahead of November 1st, when they allegedly scheduled to receive stock grants as part of their compensation. The New York Times wrote that the grants typically represent a significant portion of the employee's pay, and that by laying off workers before that date, Musk may avoid paying the grants, though he is supposed to pay the employees cash in place of their stocks under the terms of the merger agreement. The same report said that Musk has also ordered job cuts across the company. Musk branded the proposals false on Twitter, but didn't provide any further details. He just doesn't have to. The idea is that the narrative is that Musk is going in there and just firing people, hitting them with a paintball gun and telling them to get out, and not upholding what he said he would do in the merger agreement. And he says it's not true. We're going to find out. I have a tendency to believe Elon, but I also believe that he's a business guy, and he's just not going to pay money to pay money just for the fun of paying money. He's not going to. He's also said that Twitter is not going to become some free-for-all hellscape. And this is what the left wants us to believe, that Twitter is going to become QAnon hellscape. It isn't. Musk confirms that he also that accounts that are suspended for minor reasons will be freed from Twitter jail. There you go. Twitter. It may be okay to do again. I have been on the platform, and it seems like, I don't know, it's still Twitter is still, as far as I'm concerned, the dumpster fire it's always been. I know a lot of people, a lot of big folks have gotten pretty large increases in their, in their follows. We have not. I'm just going to tell you, we have not. I'm looking at the number right now, and it's exactly what it was last week. Exactly. Hasn't moved one tick. Not one tick. Nope. As a matter of fact, in the 28-day summary, it's actually down 7 people. Not 7%, fortunately, but 7 people. Let's see. Impressions are for Fight Back Media Network. Impressions are down. Tweets are down. Impressions are down. Profile visits are up. Mentions are down, and followers are down. So it's not doing us any good, unless you want to have a presence on Twitter. If you guys want to have a presence on Twitter, let me know. It's one of those things where, it really is. Everybody else is doing it. And now it seems open. Let's do it. The Twitter account is at RBM Show. We can change that. That's not a problem. If that's too difficult, if that's too weird, we have another account that we can start using. But at RBM Show will get you Fight Back Media Network. We can make a new account. We can do anything. That's the best part. We can do anything. Because it's important. I think, when we have an opportunity to be places, to get our message to people, that we should do that. That we should do that. We should push back against the mainstream media false narratives, and we can still stay respectful and reasonable. We can still do that. So right now, if you're on Twitter, go to RBM Show, at RBM Show, RBM Show. It was the original name of my very first program on the internet called The Rational Black Man Show. RBM Show. My picture is there. The background is a wooden, a small wooden cross, an open Bible, and the U.S. flag. Join us. Join us on Twitter. Join us on Twitter. That would be fabulous. All right. We'll be back right after these messages. So is it okay now, because it was, I mean, during the Trump administration, it's okay to talk about the president's
yeah. We talked about mental health elderly, so let's talk about this guy mental health.
The president's mental acuity, because there's sometimes where it seems to be lacking. Have you seen?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's especially bad. I mean, I'm talking about sometimes it's like really bad. Like, have you seen the picture?
I was told not to take any questions.
I was told not to take any questions. They're going to be mad at me.
They're going to be mad at me.
Mr.
President, are you the president, or were you five?
You see, what I want. See, the next question is, excuse me,
I was told to call on what you call it for NBC. Who's telling you to call on?
That's the question that we ought to be asking. Who's telling you this?
I mean, I don't understand why nobody won't ask that question.
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Who's telling you to call on these people in the media?
Is Jen Psaki actually the president?
Probably so.
Well, hey, we're going to need your input on our next topic. I was scrolling through Twitter one day in the very month of October, and I saw that that Ted Cruz tweeted simply 3 words: abolish the IRS. And of course, all the idiots showed up. Well, how is the government supposed to get money for schools and roads and pay your salary? Because, again, Twitter is a dumpster fire. It is. And it is populated by bots and stupid people. People who, unlike you, realize that an awful lot of our major institutions in this nation were built without help of the IRS. Without help of the IRS. What? Yes. But the IRS, as we know it, is a fairly recent addition, a little over 100 years old, and not the only way. You know, it's funny. You guys know that I teach saxophone, flute, and clarinet, and when I'm talking to young people about just anything, their view is that it must have always been this way. Whatever it is, must have always been this way. And the fact of the matter is that usually I explain to them, no. We just started doing the thing that you're used to recently, within the past 5-10 years. And they're always wide-eyed shocked about it. So how did you do it before? Yeah. How did we watch TV before there was cable? We did. It must have been awful. It was hard to watch. No, it was great to watch. It was fine. It was fine. Pictures were nice and clear. So you have to explain to them why, when they see clips of old television shows, they look so bad. You have to explain all that to them. But no, it was fine. Great. I remember being at a family reunion, and we were talking about watching football. God, how did you guys watch any football? You know, every time I see one of those clips, it's terrible. It's fuzzy. You can't see it. No, that's not how it was. And then I had to explain to the young man, this is why those clips look so bad. Oh, And with a very clear, very true explanation, he was still very much confused. Still very much confused. These are the people who are on Twitter. This is a mentality that is on Twitter. When I saw Ted Cruz's tweet, abolish the IRS, I thought, yes, most definitely. Now, the mechanics of that are something that we have to talk about. I don't think that the IRS is. I mean, our current tax system is the fairest, most equitable. That seems to be the word du jour. The most equitable system ever. I think it's one of the least equitable systems ever, and we should probably at least be okay with having the discussion of doing something else. Because the current U.S. tax system is huge. It's a convoluted mess, right? Convoluted mess. The IRS has 6 federal income tax brackets ranging from 10 to 35%. So our so-called progressive tax system punishes the most productive members of society with a higher tax rate. So if you are really kicking it and you're really providing jobs and income to people, then the government will come after you. The current system is riddled with loopholes and biases that hurt individuals who save money for the future. Not only does our tax code treat citizens differently, but it is hopelessly complicated. Now, if this tax code can cause there to be cottage industries for not just accountants, but tax accountants, not just attorneys, but tax attorneys. This cottage industry of people who just show up to help people navigate the tax code is probably, that always tells me that was probably too complicated. Way back when, I wouldn't even buy a piece of software that you needed to take a class to use. It was too complicated. I didn't want to learn how to build it. I just wanted to use it. For a long time, Adobe Illustrator, I saw what could be done with it. Cool. But it seemed like there were classes out there to teach me Adobe Illustrator. I'm like, I gotta take a class. If I can't figure this out on my own, I can't just figure this out and use it at a high level. Nah, I'll wait for somebody else to do something. Same thing with, frankly, same thing with Photoshop. There are classes out there. There are college classes on Photoshop and Illustrator and some of these programs. Like, no, not at all. Not doing it. So according to the IRS, the average taxpayer spends 26.5 hours preparing and sending in their taxes. The ever-growing Internal Revenue Service Code is now over 3 million words. 3 million words. The average citizen would never be able to untangle the legalese of 3 million words. It's far too complex, intrusive, and long. So I'm thinking that most people, with everything I've said being true, could say there's a need to fix it. So the 2 most common proposals are flat tax and the fair tax. Now, I don't know which one is best, but I'm all for having that discussion. This is where you come into play. Do your research and come at me with what you think is the best of those systems. First of all, both the flat and fair tax, if implemented correctly, would be better than the current tax system. That is what I think. As the Cato Institute scholar Dan Mitchell says, from an economic perspective, the flat tax and the national sales tax or fails tax are virtually identical. Both would junk the current system. Both would restore fairness by taxing at one low rate, and both would eliminate all forms of double taxation. FreedomWorks, our friends at FreedomWorks, have long concentrated their efforts on implementing a flat tax. A flat tax is simple and would generate more economic growth than the status quo. Instead of our current multi-rate system, a flat tax would tax all individuals at the same rate, say under a tithe or a 10% flat rate. So a flat rate, someone making $100,000 annual would pay $10,000 in federal income tax. You could do the whole thing on the back of an index card. It will not punish productive members of society with a higher rate. So if you make $50,000, it'd be $5,000. If you make $45,000, it'd be $4,500. If you make $1 million, it will be $100,000. Now, I'm of the mind that that flat tax, that number should be as low as possible. Like 10%, I think is high. I do. 10%, I think is high. I think that if we had more taxpayers, then it wouldn't need to be as high. I think if we had more taxpayers, it could be as low as, and this is me moving away from what I'm reading you, 3%. 3%. What would that mean? That means that if you made, I don't know, let's get out the extra brain cell that I used to call my calculator, and I still call it the same thing. Let's get with the numbers, my friend, mon frère, there you go. So that means if you made $25,000 a year, $25,000 a year, that means that your taxes for the year at 3% would be $750. If you made 16 grand a year, 16 grand a year, there we go, and we were at 3%, $480 a year. There we go. And it could be even lower. And it could be 1%. And it could be 1%. 16 grand, 1%, $160. Seeing that person who makes 16 grand right now probably pays nothing. It gets money back, actually, probably. 16 grand, $160. What about that person who makes $500 million? That person at 1% pays $5 million. Wow. So the idea is, what do? So the code is in a flat tax. Let's use our 1% number. 1%, and it would require, in order to raise it at all, it will require a national referendum. It would be like passing an amendment. It'd be super hard to raise it. I want to make it as hard to raise it as humanly possible. That for me, it would be like you would have to get it ratified by 35 states in order to raise it 0.5%. Yes, that's what I want. That would be the safeguard. So people would ask, what would keep them from just raising it from 1% to the next year, like 2.5%, 3%? The safeguards in the law. The law would be, for me, it would be like an amendment. An amendment. It would be tough to do. It would be tough to do. It would be almost impossible. And the most it could be raised at any single time would be a quarter of a percent. That would be law. The most it could be raised at any given time would be a 0.25%. So when would they take that money out? They would take that money out if you worked for XYZ, the XYZ company, the same time they do it now. If you work for SeaWorld Entertainment, it would come out of your check the same way it would come out now, but it would be a lot less. And maybe for some people, it would be something that they hadn't experienced before. What about the refunds? Well, that whole system would be gone. Country would have what it would need. They would not have more taxpayers. I mean, they wouldn't have bigger taxpayers. They would have more. We would have more. It would, and in a fair tax system where you actually add on a national sales tax. Now, the difference is that you would get all your money. There'd be nothing taken out of your check. And you would only pay taxes when you bought something. That you would only pay taxes when you bought something. Now the problem is that you would have to repeal the 16th Amendment, or we could end up with both the income tax and a national sales tax, and that will be disastrous. Because some European governments have added a national sales tax on top of their federal income tax. So we got to be super careful about that. I like the idea of a fair tax, and I always have, because then you could literally not pay any federal income tax if you didn't buy anything. Now, federal income tax would, I mean, that federal sales tax would only be on new items. New items. So what happens, Willie, if you bought a used car? There wouldn't be any federal income tax on it, because that was already paid. Double taxation eliminated. Once you bought something, if you bought it new, you paid the federal income tax. If you didn't, if you bought it previously owned, you didn't pay that tax. Why should you have to pay that the same tax on that item twice? Why? You get, let's see, bought this camera. Somebody bought it new, cost $100. They paid the $10 tax on the new item. It ends up in a pawn shop, and now it's $40. Why should you have to pay the $4 in tax? For what reason? For what reason? You already got $10 on it when it was new. Now it's used. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And now you got to pay $4 in tax. Why? It is abusive to those of lower income. It's great. Now, there's a whole bunch of for me, the fair tax has a whole bunch of complicated steps that I don't quite understand. So if you are a fair tax person, this is the time that you in the comments, do your thing. Do your thing. Let's have this discussion. Keep it reasonable, keep it rational, keep it polite, keep it above board. If you go after somebody and you attack their character for some other reason, I am monitoring the comments, both on Rumble and on YouTube. Well, let's go ahead and have a discussion. Because frankly, what we got now sucks. We have now sucks. And keeping it, decade after decade, score of years after score of years, is not moving us forward as individuals. It's not, pulling us all into the American dream. It is not. So maybe we should be having this discussion. As a quote that is commonly attributed to Winston Churchill goes, there is no such thing as a good tax. All tax hampers economic growth, which distort production and punish individuals to varying degrees. With that said, there are tax systems that are worse than others. It's clear that the current tax code needs to be overhauled. Yeah, it needs to be overhauled. The hammer. Paul, can I borrow your hammer? Oh, sorry, too soon. The flat tax is the most, political feasible, I guess. Again, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's get involved. Let's get involved in the discussion. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.